Today we're going to talk about what to expect when you're going to put your house on the market, the process, how you kind of get started, what your expectations from us should be, and what we're going to offer.
Versus what you think they should be.
Right, right. So,
Because it is a different beast than what everybody kind of thinks.
yeah, it's not as difficult, I don't think, as most people think. They think everything has to be perfection, and it doesn't. I think first step number one is to get an appointment set up, call somebody, get them over there, start your preliminary numbers, start to see kind of what items you need to work on. Because I have it so many times, like they want to over improve the house, or they think it needs this or it needs this because these are things they want in their new property. Sometimes you can really over improve a house very quickly and spend unnecessary money and do unnecessary things. So,
But then there's the other case of that one couple that we had that had a whole back room with no air. And I'm like, guys, if you just run the vent, I think it cost them $500
yeah,
to tie into the vents and added square footage up value.
how much
So
square footage did they get? They got like an extra 200 square feet,
200
which
square
is like an
feet on
extra
it.
30 grand.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
it was
That's crazy.
$500 to tee off of an air unit because the room was set up like a secondary living.
Had a TV, everything.
Everything, it was in like condition of the rest of the house, and it was like, you're losing money here for your morning coffee. You can
Yeah.
there was
Because
some
they just kept the French doors open, letting the
right,
rest of the house draw that way. And I'm like, it's still not countable. So
right,
you have to have a permanent heat and air source.
yes, absolutely. And we've thrown, gosh, you've had what, 2 new listings this week, or three, five, what? Yeah. I don't remember what you were on. I think you were at 5 last week that you were working on. Okay, and we've had 2 that came out today.
Yeah, and I'm going to Sweetwater at 4 o'clock today to look at
Oh,
one. It's a drive,
yeah, that's
yeah,
a drive. That's
but
4.
that's okay.
That's okay. But things that we had to do to get prepared. So we start working with our listings weeks, months ahead of time, start working on their goals on, first of all, why are we selling? Where are we going to? How do we help that? What's the situation as to why we're moving?
Make it as seamless as possible.
Absolutely, so that we start working on all ends of coordinating that for them, similar to a buyer, just on a different aspect of it. One of the newest one that I threw out today, he's going to ministry school in South Lake Carroll. So they have to go, oh, hold on, because this was unique. And this really isn't common in listings, but solar panels, like, the double word for us all, right? They have $50,000 worth of solar panels sitting in their shed. So they even experienced this as
Yeah.
homeowners. Um, they had them taken off a year ago because their homeowners insurance skyrocketed. They removed their own panels, put on a brand new roof at their own expense. But there's a good caveat to it because they're going to pay those solar panels off. The home is wired for solar panels. The solar panels will stay, but they're getting no use out of them. And they're going to have to pay them off. And that part sucks. So that was a total curveball on
Solar
the situation.
panels is a whole other
It's a whole other
topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast to go into. Maybe episode 5.
I don't know. I have to think about that one because I don't know how many times we preach to sellers.
Oh my gosh,
don't do it. Just don't do it. And every buyer I tell, you're going to be my seller someday.
Absolutely.
Don't put them on there.
Yeah.
Just leave them
Unless
off.
you're staying. If you're going to stay forever, there is some benefit to them. But if you're not staying, which is very uncommon, right? You never know what life's going to throw you, and you have to get out of things.
Right.
That you want to be really cautious when going down that route.
I think the biggest thing that I run into is when I go in for a listing consultation. It's a fine line of telling them get rid of all your personal stuff because they feel offended because they've decorated the wall with family and 8,000 pictures and down the hall 8,000 pictures and they got to go.
Oh yeah,
They got to go.
Even with that, when they have kids, we always tell them, we're like, look, trophies, medals, all those
Everything,
life things,
military awards,
right?
everything. It's
We
got to go.
we don't know who's coming through your house,
Exactly.
and
That's the
so
problem.
yeah,
Well, and on the other side of that, to me, is if I'm a buyer, I want to see myself living there, not them.
Yeah. You need to be able to see
So
the
where's my stuff going?
right.
You know, this and
And saying, well, as agents, we have to have our background checks, and we have to go through a pretty rigorous scanning to be able to go into people's houses. We don't have to do that with our clients. So
buyer doesn't know.
no. So I always say, like, because we all know I have the reputation of helicopter mom.
space.
That's
Oh,
the word,
Lord.
right? I tell my kids all the time, if I could wrap you in a bubble and dress as a helicopter and walk with you all day, I absolutely would. So I'm overly cautious about that, but we've come to that if anything with their schools, anything with trophies, sports,
name.
activities, their names, you're just kind of giving a gateway of saying, here's my
Here's
child,
where my kid goes to school. Here's their name. Here's
Here's
how
what they
old
look
they
like.
are. Here's what they look
here's the
like.
team they play for, there's
Yeah.
their practice
Now I
nights.
don't want to freak everybody out.
No.
It's not bad.
No,
So
absolutely. And we've
uh,
never had a moment.
I mean,
But we always say,
more
like,
importantly, put up your firearms, put up your prescriptions, get rid of the personalization.
number
Put your
one thing,
jewelry away.
number one thing
Yes.
stolen,
Prescriptions.
prescription pills. And while we try as agents, while we're showing, we could have a family of 4 or 5, and you'll turn around and somebody's darted off into another room. And
Yeah.
you can only chase so many people and guide them through. It's like herding cattle sometimes, going, okay, we're going into this room and back
I'd
into this room.
equate it to herding jello.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cats.
Cats.
They're all over the place.
So while we try so hard to do that, and we usually know, and I think you too, that when we have a huge group, we try to bring multiple people to the showing because we know we're going to have to split off.
Or in a very large home.
Yes.
And stuff,
Mhm.
because even in a large home, people tend to go, well, I want to go look at this, and I want to go.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
when they're occupied, we try to stay with it, but we can't all the time. And so the number one thing that are usually stolen and that you're not going to notice for a minute are prescription pills. So
100%, because they might just take a few out of the bottle.
right.
You're just not going to notice it.
Right.
Um,
So we've had the clear off of personal effects.
curb appeal. My gosh, the most undone thing ever is that house can be pristine, and the first thing they neglect is curb appeal.
Yeah. How many times have you pulled up with a buyer and they go, I don't want to see it?
Right.
We don't even make it
there's a
in.
few
Right.
things where-
Go to Lowe's, go to
And
Home
I'll
Depot,
go,
get some little
"Ugh,"
$2.
and then I walk in and go,
Oh yeah, go
Yeah.
get some little $2 pots of little bitty winter flowers right now, winter, and a bag of black mulch.
So not winter, it's still 90 degrees.
I know, but winter flowers are out. But anyway, throw some black mulch down and stick some flower pots in there and just keep them watered. I mean, it totally
I don't care
changes
if
the
you use
vibe.
fake flowers.
Fake. It totally changes
Just
the
clean it
vibe.
up. Make
Clean
sure
it up.
the bushes are trimmed. Your
Yard
grass
is
trimmed,
mowed.
yeah.
Sidewalk
Clean it
is
up.
edged so it's not growing
Growing
over
over
on
it.
it.
Okay, so that leads into that too, as far as even landscaping. So there are loans that require landscaping. So like VA on landscaping, no foliage can be touching the house.
Right.
And
Right.
that's something a lot of people don't know. So if you have those bushes and they're overgrown and they're
A tree hanging over.
Trim the back
house.
of it.
Yeah.
Trim the
So you
back
can't
of
be
those
touching it.
bushes.
the tree over the house, if it's rubbing on anything, it's ruining your roof. It
Yeah.
has to be trimmed off for VA and FHA purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And VA, no foliage can touch it. So even the back of the bushes, like
Have to
you
be
can-
trimmed up.
you can
And
always
there's-
tell when it's military that lives there too, because when they bought it, they have like this quarter of a bush missing on the
Yes.
backside.
Yes. Yeah, and
But
the
it is a
theory
requirement.
on that is termites. I mean, you just
Oh, stop it. We just had that one that I had to get my husband over because the fence post touched the
Mhm.
house. And so the termite inspection showed that was a conducive condition that termites could reach the house
What?
because a fence picket,
that much.
I mean, we shaved off like an eighth of an inch to get it to not
Mhm.
touch the house because it touched the house.
And then it passed. So that was a new one
That was fun.
this week.
That
Yeah.
was fun. And I was like so over
Yeah.
that deal. Like I just went home and I grabbed the saw. I'm grabbing the saw and I'm loading it up. And I was like, I'm done. And My husband goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm gonna go fix a termite condition." And he was like, "Okay, hold on, let me get in." He was like, "Please don't touch my saw."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she could have got it.
I could have gotten it. I was
Um, but no, you've got that. You've got the curb appeal. You know, the other thing that I just can't even say enough about, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, is close the toilet lid.
oh my God, please.
Yeah.
Jesus. Close
Is that-
the toilet
that a
lid. Let
cell
me say it
thing,
for
or
the
is that-
kids in the back that can't hear me.
Is that a cell thing or is that an agent thing? I don't know an agent
I
one that
think-
likes an open toilet.
I think it's an Asian thing, and I think it's because it's drilled into our head how bad a picture looks.
It
so
looks
when the
horrible with an
public
open
sees us,
toilet.
It looks dirty. It immediately looks
Yes.
dirty. That's a big thing. Cleanliness. Your house can be incredibly outdated,
Mm-hmm.
but if it is clean,
Mhm.
it immediately screams maintained.
We just
Yes.
sold one.
Just
Just
sold
got it under contract. This house. And here I go, car salesman again. 1966, one owner.
one.
But I could have eaten off the floors.
Oh, absolutely. The
And
Berber carpet
The
and the diamond
Berber
pattern,
carpet. Yes.
pink and blue diamond
Loved it.
pattern. Amazing house.
Yeah,
Pink
because it was clean.
countertops,
Yeah.
Because it was clean.
wallpaper throughout, and all
And
kinds.
what's funny about it, there was one room with one stain on the carpet, and that is the first thing those buyers zeroed in on. What about that stain? The whole house you could eat off the floors,
Oh,
one
absolutely.
stain. So sellers need to realize that buyer's coming in and they're going to nitpick every little thing, and if it's dirty, they're going to think the house is dirty, and it's just they're just not going to.
When it's dirty, it screams that it hasn't been maintained.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking if you can't maintain your regular life
Every day.
every day,
Yeah.
how are you maintaining the property?
So
Right.
from an OCD standpoint, because I have that real bad, please make sure that you are wiping the doors around the handles and around your
Yes.
light switches
Mhm.
and sometimes the walls. I have a 12-year-old, trust me, I know, but fingerprints stick for some
Yeah.
reason.
And they get grody
They
and
get
icky,
dirty and
yeah.
black. So
Yeah.
we've got like this long of a checklist that they have to do to get ready for photos.
Yes.
And it kind of coincides with getting ready for an inspection
yes.
because the light bulbs all have to be working. An inspector's not going to fix the light bulb,
Well,
or they'll just call it defective.
Deficient. Yes.
And then that sends
Deficiency.
off alarms, and it's just a light bulb.
Well, and you can't state that to them, right? You're like, oh,
No.
the light didn't turn on. It's a deficiency. Could it be a light bulb? More than likely.
Probably.
So here's what I've
But
told people, like in reference to like if a light, you don't know what a light switch is because we don't own the home. Get a sticky note and just
Label
put
it.
right where that light switch is, so everybody else knows what that light
Okay,
switch is for.
so my personal home, when we bought it, had like medical tape on each light
Oh,
switch
yes.
Oh, there you go.
stating
Every single
what
one.
it was.
What
go.
what it was for.
And I still in my guest bathroom, I have it saved. I'm like, I just
Mhm.
have a nostalgia to say, this is the heater, this is the fan, this is
Yeah.
the light.
I had a client. They had a labeler, so they labeled everything. Like
Yes.
like you opened up the cabinets and it even said shelf.
Yes.
Awesome.
And that
Kind of like
kind
our offices looked when you and Kayla got a hold of the label
yeah,
maker.
kind
Yeah.
of.
I still
kind of.
have like my door says door.
Yeah.
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 Now we know where you got the idea.
Now we
from.
know. But no, I'm not coming in either on my first appointment and giving you a price.
Absolutely not.
You know,
That's the first time you're laying
I
on it.
have a preliminary idea.
Right.
Because days before, that's part of the prep.
Right.
We're pulling neighborhoods. We're pulling what are homes selling for around
Right.
here. But I don't know the condition of your house.
Right. It
I
can
don't
go-
know the upgrades to your house. I don't know anything about your house except you gave me an address and said, see you at 4:00. Okay.
All right.
So I'm coming in. I've got my numbers. Now, if they coincide and I'm pretty close, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to go back to the office and tweak these numbers a little bit,
Right.
see where we can get.
Right.
The worst mistake I see sellers do is they believe their house is worth more than any other house in the entire town. And they come in with unrealistic expectations.
The one I like is like the one we're trying to negotiate for our buyer on right
Yeah.
now. Of they came back on the negotiation saying, well, my seller put in a $13,000 fence. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
But
You're
an
still
appraiser's only going to $10,000.
Not even that.
You're lucky.
You're still 2 doors down from Interstate 20. You're still a 1 bathroom. You're still 1,200 square feet.
Well, even with that, it's a beautiful home.
It is, but
you can't expect these things that you do. A fence to me is home maintenance,
Mhm.
right? That's
Right.
not, there is an upgrade to it as far as wood or wrought iron, or if they put in a really fancy fence, but they're not going to see that value on appraisal, right? This is a
No.
personal choice. It's home maintenance. That's not the buyer's responsibility to pay
to
them
pay for your
back.
Right.
maintenance,
And
right?
so we have to go with that with all the time with sellers to where they go, hey, I just got a new roof and they're super pumped, or hey, I put in new windows and they're new AC and fantastic. Does that help the house sell a little bit easier? Absolutely, it makes it more appealing because people do want those things.
Yeah.
Does it give you value?
Mm-mm.
Not as much as you spent doing it.
I usually tell people, and this is where I said yes the last time. Don't hate us for being blunt. A buyer's gonna expect a working roof.
Yes.
Well, that's just it. It has to be insurable. And what
Yeah.
we're running into now, and sellers need to understand this, is a lot of insurance companies are saying the roof is 10 years and older. We're not insuring it.
Oh.
So that's a huge hurdle. And, for people like me, I have a lifetime roof, they call it. I mean, the shingles are this thick on the thing.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. You might get a softball through it, but normal hailstorm doesn't even touch it. However, if I go in and say, "Oh, my roof's over 10 years old,"
Yes.
nobody's touching it.
Lifetime
So,
or not.
lifetime or not.
So,
So,
and
yeah, I mean, it's just like the one that we've got closing down pretty soon. They wanted to come in with their price right out of the gate.
with which one?
Well, it's the one that's closing Monday.
Oh,
But they came in.
yes.
They came in with $20,000 over
The suggested
the
price.
suggested price of what the numbers showed,
Right.
and it kind of bit them a little bit for a little while.
Well, they ended up on the market for 2 months longer than they needed to
Correct,
be.
correct. So there's 2 mortgage payments. There's 2 months insurance. There's
So when we come to sell a property or you call us to list a property, I can't express the deep diving we do behind the scenes to get you the appropriate price.
Mhm.
And I know there's tons of agents out there that just go with it just to get the listing and say, okay, we're going to do it your way.
I'm
But
not that person.
I'm not that
I have them
person.
sign a form that sits there and says that you went above the recommended
It
price.
says
Oh, I
she
did.
does as
I
well.
did too. I made them
So,
sign it,
Yeah.
and
but if you,
against my agent's advice.
Yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know that they see the background of it that we are researching pending home sales, sold home sales, what the appraisers are doing, how long things are on the market. And you kind of really get, I always tell all my sellers, you get one shot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We have to come out priced appropriately. Our photos you have about
It
8
has to be
seconds for
listed
viewing.
appropriately too, because there are times you walk into a home and you've got it's actually a 2 bedroom and not a 3 bedroom,
Oh, that drives
or
me
it's
nuts.
a 1.5 bath and not a 2 bath.
Right.
So
Right.
it has to be
Well,
listed
that a
properly,
lot
too.
of that is our MLS system doesn't do the half anymore.
Yeah, that
Right.
sucks. It puts it
Yeah.
as 2 baths, and then you try to explain to your buyers, like, I'm not that
Two
horrible.
baths only. 2 baths only, one full.
We always ask people. We always ask our buyers that. That's a whole different topic. But we're
Yeah.
like, do you need 2 full baths or 2 toilets? Because everybody can schedule a shower. Not
Right.
everybody can schedule a toilet. So, but they don't to understand the depth we go to come up with the price of a home is pretty extreme. So it's not, and that's why we try not to give a price right off the bat when we're
Right.
standing there. It's like, I have a general idea of what you are, but now I'm going to go up or down. I'm going to make my adjustments within the comps around us. And then you get, so what you had on that particular listing was, oh, the house right around the corner just listed at this
Yes.
per square foot.
And that's what did it. I go, what?
And-
I go, square foot has nothing to do with it.
Right. We still have to average.
I go, it's what is the average for the neighborhood?
Right.
And that just doesn't
Compute.
stick anywhere.
Right. And we've always told people that if you have the biggest house in the neighborhood, you don't get the same price per square footage. You get
No,
less per square
get
foot because we
less.
have to average out
Yeah,
with
gotta
the other
average the
homes. Or if you're
neighborhood.
the smallest guy on the street, of course you're going to get 180 per square foot when you're 300 square feet less than everybody else, just to keep, again, the average of the home. And there sure enough was a house that came up over there yesterday at 198,000, and it's priced at like 187 a foot, but it's accurate for the
It's
size
accurate for the
area.
neighborhood.
Area. So there's so many factors to it, and I swear we're not trying to pump anybody full of false info or false hope. Even with this one that came out today, I had the call after the appointment and went through all of this explanation of how we got to our price. Here everything is. Let me show you.
Can we go higher?
Can we go a little bit higher, because we have those solar panels, and I'm really sorry for the unfortunate part. We can do whatever you want to do, because ultimately the seller's the boss, right? The seller, the buyers, they are our employers. They're our boss. But again, I said that's against my professional opinion. I would not do so. But I can do whatever you would like me to do. And that's why you're the expert. Thank you. Let's move on.
It's funny because way back in the day, there was she's still around. She's still training. Pat Strong had told us all once. She said the first thing she does when the seller says, I want to price my own house, okay, and we're going to sign addendums. And every 2 weeks, we're going to reduce till you get to the suggested price that I've given you.
How horrible is that, though? So this is what I always tell our sellers, too, is if I'm not priced appropriately and I've priced you high and we get no bites, and in 2 weeks, we know we're going to have to reduce, or in 3 weeks, whatever the timeline we set up. And then we've reduced, we're still not to my price. And now we've got to reduce again. Well, what the buyer's agents are seeing are, okay, hold on. Now they're coming down.
Now they're getting desperate.
So, when we prep our sellers, we prep them for multiple costs and things like that. And here's what we're going to run across. This is where we're going to try to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. But when we get to that spot where they start taking off 5,000, 10,000, another 5,000, then the people go, oh, why do they have to leave? Let me come in and try to get a deal. And then they don't come in just at your price. They're coming in even lower than your price. And then they're asking you for big concessions, because they now have the impression that you're trying to get rid of this house as quickly as possible. And it's a horrible misconception between all.
So here's the other caveat to this. Is say you list the home over where the agent has suggested you to list. Now they're going off of what the neighborhood has pretty much dictated it should sit at, minus or plus our adjustments.
Right.
It still has to appraise.
Yes.
Right.
It still has to appraise. So we may sit there and say, okay, we say you can go at 200. And you say, well, I want to list at 250. Well, an appraiser is going to go out there. They're the end all be all on value. So they're going to sit there and do pretty much similar to what we've done in trying to figure out pricing and say, oh, no, it's only worth 200. So now
here you are.
The contract.
Here you are.
Right.
An appraiser, if there's a loan involved, is only going to say it's worth it.
You're coming down, or you're losing the buyer.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And a lot of them go, well, then I'm just taking away the concessions I was going to give. Well, you're going to lose the buyer.
We just had that.
Yeah.
We just had it. We just had one. And it wasn't the seller or the buyer's fault. So the appraiser got over there, and the house measured 200 square feet smaller. Well,
we talked about this last week.
They purchased
it was a bad situation.
And we had concessions negotiated in there. Well, the seller was like, I'm not coming down 9,000 and still paying closing costs. So take away the closing costs, I'll come down 9,000. My buyer was like, that's not fair. It's not my fault your house is 200 square feet smaller and isn't worth what we're under contract for. So I want my closing costs plus the price reduction.
Well, and
didn't
in
work
some
out.
cases, some buyers actually need all of their closing costs. Like I've got that one client who needed all 12,000 of her closing costs.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. But with her predicament and stuff like that, that's what she needed in order to buy her first home.
Right.
And stuff. We were able to secure it. Now we're waiting on the appraisal.
Right.
So because that could be that we could land up in the same situation that you guys did.
Very easily.
Right. Well, my people walked away.
No, I think sellers, a lot of them have this idea that we just come over and we put a sign in the yard and we're good to go. And then we just sit back and do nothing.
Well, let me tell you the panic attack I had with the one that came out today, because they
Photos.
called me on Monday
Yeah.
and wanted an appointment on Monday, and I was like, okay, I'll do my
He
best.
wanted the sign in the yard that day.
And then he was like,
Did you
"Are
bring
you
a
just going to
sign?"
take pictures?" And I was like, "Well, I don't take pictures." So
That
that leads
We
into
have a professional. For
that leads into the next thing. I always tell people too, we hire a photographer because I'm not a photographer.
I'm not a photographer.
I'm a realtor, so I hire what I don't know, right? I'm not cleaning my husband's teeth. I'm not a dentist, right? Like, so I don't take photos because I'm not a photographer. I'm not trained in the art of that. And so we have several let me say that, architectural photographers, because we've had a few come through that are more family portrait people, and they try to take pictures of houses. It does not come out
Doesn't
right.
work.
Like, there is an art to the architectural side of photography. So I was like, I can come over and I can try to give my rough gauge. Thankfully, after you've been in the business for so many years, you can kind of start spewing it off your head when you're familiar with the area, right? And we're pretty familiar with that area. It's like, okay, I think we're right around here. Let me go confirm some numbers first, then I'll get back to you. But we were able to get the photographer over there yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday, and I guess he put them in the inbox about 4 a.m.
Last minute breathing, like,
because I was like, I gotta have those back.
We try to tell people when they're coming up for a listing, hey, look, this is about a 2-week
I
process.
like 2 weeks. I
for
like
us
a
too.
2-week lead time that lets me get my seller's disclosures in and anything I need, and it's all ready to go. And then my pictures and my marketing. And
Everything's ready to hit go
yes.
when it happens.
Yes. When
So,
it goes, all I have to do is click the active button
Right.
and it's all done. But
and so when we're talking about pricing as well, I always struggle with people whenever they think it's by active pricing, and what we price on is sold.
sold.
And then the market has been so wonky here lately. Like, it's been a crazy 2 years from COVID to normalizing, and it's just been nuts.
It's crazy.
What it is. So I used to pull back to 6 months worth of sold homes, and you look at comparable square footage, comparable bedrooms, comparable finishes, those types of things. But now I'm like, what's
3.
sold in the past 90 days? Because the prices have dramatically changed between there and there. So you can quickly overprice a property if you go back far enough on things. So there's that. They always get
I
so
try to
upset
go
with me
3
when-
months. I've always done 3 months. So unless there's nothing there, and then I start eking it out a little bit to
Right.
see if I can find something.
Country properties
Country
are
are the worst.
They're so horrible. Yeah.
Country are the worst.
They're
there
terrible.
might be one that sold in the last year.
In the last year, and you can only go out so many miles away from that house. And
Yeah. So
on those, you may want to. Okay, so it's not very often we'll sit there and say, "Hey, you may want to have an appraiser come out before you list the home." I have one that's fixing to come up in stuff where we went down that road, and they're going to have an appraisal done beforehand because you are correct. You lack comps. You lack something that's even close to that particular property. Because I could pull stuff in completely opposite side of Abilene, but nothing near that.
right.
So,
now, and
Sometimes
even when you
easier.
do that, those appraisers come in at a commercial appraised value. FHA and VA are different values, right? They have to be loan to value ratios to it. So those values change on those appraisals. And even though you had it appraised, doesn't mean the next appraiser is going to appraise it.
no,
the
you
same.
can send 5 out and get 5
And
different.
get 5 different opinions.
So you at least get a general
Yeah.
idea of where we're going to need to start.
Now I get asked every now and again, not often, a little more now, should we get a pre-listing inspection? Well, I don't think it's a horrible idea, but I'm going to say but. An inspection is only good for the day of the inspection.
Yes.
It doesn't carry out the whole listing thing. Things can go wrong, whatever. If you want to get one and do it, great. That way you know what to address and have done before it hits the market. And get another one. You have to get a follow-up. So you've got your inspection. It's got some stuff. Most inspectors will go check.
Yes.
They'll come back
again,
for
they'll
free.
come back for free
Right.
and make sure all that's done. So if you're going to do it right. But
Right.
understand it's only good for that day, because what I get is, well, we already had an inspection done. I'm not going to take an option period for them to have time to get an inspection. We already did it. It was only good for that day.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
And
and here's the other thing too is when you are asked by a buyer's side to repair something, it is someone who has a license for
Qualified.
that field, or they're qualified, or they're insured, bonded, whichever, but they're professional.
mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
just
sellers, yeah, when you get a repair thing, that doesn't mean Uncle Billy can come over
Right.
and fix everything.
Not unless
And
you
it's
specify and
and
agree
it's
to it.
in the
Yeah.
contract that it has to be a licensed
Yep.
professional. You have to provide receipts.
What
And
did you just have?
Prior,
You got asked if the seller could just dump some Drano down the slow
it-
drain.
yeah, they go, it's probably just toothpaste. They're going to put some Drano. And I
That's
said,
like
no,
Yeah.
no, they're not. They're going to hire a plumber to
Right.
come
Per contract.
yes, per contract.
So in that case and scenario, when you go and get a pre-listing inspection done, and you say, "Okay, this is something I can handle myself," and stuff, as long as it's not listed and you don't have
You're
a
not in
contract,
contract with
just
anything.
make sure you get the updated one afterwards.
Save your receipts too.
If it's like there's some chipped and peeling paint and you want to get that taken care
Oh,
of
with
before it
the
goes on the market,
Cover for the outlet outside.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, outdoor plugs all
simple
required.
things that you feel like you can do, that's what it would be good for.
Yeah.
When you're in contract, it is a whole different ballgame.
Now, with that, when you say not allow an option period for inspections, you're allowed to have an inspection at any point in
Any
the
point,
contract.
anytime, but the conception is
Yes.
okay. They want to get an inspection.
Right.
I have not gotten inspections before during the option period
Yeah.
because a seller needs to know that when they accept an option period, that is nothing more than an unrestricted right to terminate that contract.
Right.
They can go, oh, I've decided I don't want to paint the pink bedroom.
Right. I don't like the green couch.
I don't like the green. I love my Geico couch. I don't like this, and I've just decided I don't feel it anymore.
Right.
That's what that 10 days is for.
Yeah.
An inspection can happen anytime, and it's always negotiable. Does the seller have to do it? No.
No.
And same on a VA if they accept a VA contract. Do they have to do the repairs? The
VA
seller?
required repairs for an
No.
appraiser.
No.
No. That's a negotiable item.
It's a
as well.
negotiable, so you need a professional
Mm-hmm.
helping you with this. It's not just cut and dried. It's not just, oh, here I come.
Right.
Here's my sign. We're good. Let's go.
Well, then let's talk about the sellers we kind of dove into this the last session. Once they accept a contract, once we get it on the market, we've done all of our marketing. Well, let's actually go back into that. Our marketing, what do they expect from us on marketing? What do we as a team give them right off the bat?
Right out of the gate, I'm gonna your Facebook marketing and your Instagram marketing are critical. That's the first eyes on that property. Then you need to do a personal property website. Get that out there. You need to send seller reports. Get those,
Mm-hmm.
Set to auto populate and send to the seller. They can see what their internet traffic is. I could sit there all day and go, oh, it's going here, 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 here. There's over 100 places that thing goes, including the Wall Street Journal, and we don't live in New York. So but it's everywhere.
Yes.
And you want to make sure that your main office branch has that information because they may have overseas buyers out of town. It's just our job to keep it. Open house. I am a full 100% non-believer in open houses.
Huh.
I'm just going to say it because people are looky-loos. They're going to stop by. We had one agent on the team at one time that could sell at open houses. I don't know how she did it. I mean, she would leave the open house and come back to the office with the client to write the contract.
That's crazy. Like that was
But
her niche.
it was her thing. But I believe more in virtual opens that sit out there for 30 days instead of my 2 hours at your house that might get 10 people. I believe in 3D tours because that's just where it's at now.
Well, we've had a couple of thoughts about open houses. So I think open houses are going to be very relevant here with the recent changes.
For the agent.
Correct, for the agent.
Yeah, for the agent.
Most of the time, I believe open houses are for the agent.
Yes.
It is for you
Yes.
to use that property to help market yourself for
Mhm.
more clients, whether that's more sellers in the area or more buyers in the area. There are the occasional few that so happen to walk through that lady's open house every single time and buy that house. Very rarely do you have that. But we do believe in opening the house within the first 2 weeks to do a public open house to get it out there. Mainly, we actually do it for the looky-loos. We are doing the open house for the neighbors because the person that wants to pick, there are a lot of neighbors that want to pick their neighbor.
Yes.
And there's a lot of neighbors, especially when you get into these nicer little areas, that want their friend to be their neighbor
or
their son or
Yeah.
their family members or
Mhm.
whoever.
I
And-
have found that when it comes to an open house, more times than not, when it does sell because of an open house, it is because of a neighbor.
Correct. And
Yeah.
they get the word out and
Yeah.
they want to come see it to get it out to all the rest of their family and friends. That's really what we hold the open house for, is like, okay, let your neighbors in because they want to know.
Yeah.
And they've looked online,
Mhm.
but they want to know who's next door, who can I put next door, who do they want as their neighbors. The
Well-
virtual open does stay out forever. Then we also, the following week after a public open, we try to hold a broker open.
Broker open.
Those
I
I find
feel are important.
super important and far more effective.
That
to
is,
get
that is
agents.
more important than opening your house up on Sunday afternoon for 2 hours.
Correct.
100% more important.
And that is just
And here's why. When we go into the system and we're looking for a property for one of our buyers, the first thing that is going to pop into our head is one that we have physically seen ourselves.
Mhm.
yes.
So when you have a broker open, it puts it in the mind of the agent to sit there and keep it in their mind for when they have that potential buyer.
Well, how many homes have we sold where we show buyers a grouping of homes and it doesn't work for that buyer? But I immediately see that house and I think of
there
my
was
other
one
buyer.
over here that we just saw. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
immediate because we've toured that home. We had the one broker open, and that's why I'm so big about them. That Eric had held that one time,
Mhm.
and I had a family looking very specifically for 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Refused to look at any 4 bedrooms.
Mhm.
Refused to look at 4 bedrooms, 2 living. Everything I
And
had
I
thrown
think
at
it
them,
was listed as a 4.
it was listed as a 4
It was 5.
with an office, but it was not popping up on their search.
Mhm.
So when I went to the broker open, it is
There
a
it
full
is.
5-bedroom.
Yeah.
So the office had solid doors, but it was just the 2 doors, but it had a closet and it was a full bedroom. And so I was able to take that family over there, and this was $380,000, and they fell in love. They bought it immediately because it was a 5-bedroom home to them.
To
But it
them.
was only listed as a 4-bedroom with an office. So there's so many things. So this one that we just put up is a 3-bedroom, 2 living room. Somebody could convert that second living to another bedroom. There's plenty of space to it, but I have to list it as that.
So what I tell sellers, it is not my job to sell your home.
No,
It is my job to market your home.
Yes.
and to get as many agents.
My
and buyers
job is
into
to
it.
get agents to bring their clients.
Yes.
Period.
Oh, and then that dives into the buyer's agent commission.
We're not getting into that. We're just not getting into that. But yeah, when I come, you're gonna hear it from me.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this. I believe in this, and my job is to market your home. My job is not to bring a buyer to your
Well,
home.
and you and Kayla have had the same thing. It's Kayla's job. It's all of our jobs to bring buyers into the home,
Mhm.
get buyers' eyes on it, which usually includes agents, buyers' agents, to get their
So
eyes on it.
you've got to be priced competitively, fairly,
Right.
marketed right. There's so many things that all
Well,
go into this.
And I don't want to sell it myself.
I
so
can't sell it
Yeah,
myself.
no, I don't want.
I don't
I
wanna do
can't
that.
sell it myself. I represent the seller, and
Yeah.
you and I have stuck to that our entire
Right.
career.
And that's what I'm saying with her and Kayla too.
Yes,
It's like,
that
don't wanna,
I represent the seller.
right. And I want to be able to represent the seller
Yes.
to the fullest.
Mhm.
And if I have to
Yes.
do both sides of the deal, I represent
Nobody.
And that
So I
sucks.
just don't do it.
And we've been flags, and it's
Air
a
I
traffic
don't do
control.
it. I don't do it. I won't do it. I won't come up with some ridiculous scenarios that make me think I'm doing it legally because it's not.
It's not. No.
And when you're representing both sides, it's dual agency, and that is illegal in the state of Texas. So I would rather just be I'm your marketing agent. I'm not your listing agent. I'm your marketing professional, and I'm going to get your home sold.
Right. Right. And so
But it's a give and take. Have to also listen to our suggestions.
yes, yes. Well, it's kind of like we've done this a few times, so we know
Not the first
Not our first
rodeo.
the little things that are gonna
Mm-mm.
help and tweak. And I I adore it when people do it just on task. And we're usually pretty fortunate, but we try to those weeks leading up just
Unless
educate and educate and educate.
unless you get the one that overdoes it, and all you have left is a love seat in the living room.
This is true. Like every oh my gosh, bless their hearts. So like every appointment, and they were like 3 months out. So it started with one appointment.
Yeah.
She was then Connie herself went on that. It was her listing, but she was like, declutter, take down the family photos, da 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 da. Okay, so a month later they were like, "Hey, do you mind coming back and checking?" She goes, "Well, do you want to go with me so you can see?" We also believe in that with the team, right? So
Right.
like you hire one
Different set
agent.
of eyes.
Well, you hire one agent, you get 5.
You get all
Yeah.
5 of us.
Right. So we all try to see each other's listings so that we know phone calls that come in or if we need to cover for one another at any point, we're able to do so. So I go to look at it and I was like,
Oh, well,
okay, they've taken off all photos,
everything.
every picture on the wall.
every single
God.
picture,
And
everything.
so now we have
Uh.
we have a love seat, 2 chairs. The baby has one toy.
We didn't have
one-
any. There were no chairs.
There were 2 chairs. There were
No.
there was when I came.
Oh no, they left.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when I came, we
It had the 2 blue
we had a love
chairs.
seat,
Yeah.
2 chairs, 1
Yeah.
table. The baby had a basket of toys, plus as many are like a little basket.
It got
of toys.
worse.
And so that yes, and then
No.
they took down
These are
everything.
good
So
people.
they
but-
were great, but I'm looking and I'm going, okay,
So then how do you look at them in reverse and go, you took too much?
right.
I
so
just went, this looks great.
this is
Let's
great.
let's go with it.
Let's not touch it any further. A month later, they call her and go, one final check before we leave. They stripped it more, and we were down to a couch.
The baby the baby had a broom and and a ball. And I was like, okay. And a sheet that they'd throw it on the hardwoods for him to play on.
And we're like,
Oh,
"Okay."
no.
Yeah, but they were so good about
They
trying to
were
listen to
so
everything.
good. They were so
But
good.
I was like, oh my gosh, you guys have stressed yourselves out. Like,
Yes,
stripping
that's what I
yourself
told her. I
down.
go, my gosh, I bet you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Little bit.
And
Okay.
then we struggled with that for it to look so empty. So we started getting staging stuff. Like, okay, we've got to fill it back up
And
a
then
little.
then it sold. And then it sold.
And then it sold,
But
yeah. And then we went to go put the staging stuff in another property.
it's already in another
and it
one.
it
Oh,
sold
I
then
do
too.
that too. Like on my vacant ones, like I'll hop my staging stuff from one to the other. So, but it's light things, guys. It's not like a heavy.
Oh no, we don't do
thing.
any furniture. We
Yeah.
just do like countertops
Yeah.
and bathrooms. But
Something to just give you a little bit of, oh,
But
okay.
so
Yeah, a
you can
little bit
kind
of
then
color.
envision it.
like
Yeah.
my bowl of lemons, I was so freaked out because my husband lost it.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, you need to find my
Do you
lemons.
guys know how expensive fake lemons are?
They're expensive.
I've got fake apples. I've got fake pears.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We went with the lemons, but oh my gosh, they were expensive. And I got all this stuff from Kirkland's, which is even more expensive, and he
Yeah.
lost the whole box.
So we went to like Michael's.
Michael's.
And it was $12 per lemon. I was like, no, we'll go to the grocery store and replace them each week. $12.
But
a lemon.
it
We need at least
surfaced.
12 of them.
It surfaced, so I ran out there and got it all staged up.
It's like, man. So, and there's that. When we do list your property, so we are paying for staging materials. We are paying for our marketing websites. We're
paying for access to the MLS.
Access to
We're
the
paying our
MLS.
licensing fees.
okay, and then our programs that we're creating your
Mhm.
marketing on, our transaction coordinators that are helping push this out. We are paying for so much in there, and the light staging and all of this. And if the house doesn't sell,
We
we don't
eat it.
make any money.
We
Yeah.
eat it.
So there's not a ton of risk for the seller on that.
Well,
Well, and
I
depending on the
promise.
property, too, depends on how much you're marketing, because if you're doing farm and ranch or land, or
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
or
then you're getting into drones.
Thousands.
you're into
Yeah.
a whole different ballgame of what marketing costs.
Yeah, you're
So,
into it thousands of dollars. Like we've got one now that's a lot of land. We paid $2,000 to get the videos
oh
created.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it doesn't sell, well, too
Yeah.
bad, too sad. That came out of our pocket. But anyway, I want the seller to understand. I know what you're saying. We are just as vested as they are.
Correct. And this is why we want to make sure your house is priced appropriately,
Mhm.
why it's ready to hit the market. We want it to sell just
You
as
want to
much as
get
you
your
do.
equity out of it. We need to recoup our costs.
Correct. Correct.
So.
And we want to make sure you get the most equity out of
Mhm.
it. So we try to present it in its highest light.
Highest price, best terms, shortest amount of time.
Correct.
It holds true no matter what.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Through any kind of market.
Correct.
Any kind of market. It doesn't matter, seller's market, buyer's market. I think it's an all the time market at all the time.
It
For
is.
18
It
years, there's
is.
no such thing to me as a seller's market or
No.
a buyer's market.
No.
So I think, things shift a little bit, but I've never I consider it just the market. So
Mhm.
you always want to go with that. And you just always want to have somebody that is experienced in those fields to do that. I will say that too, and I may be hated for this, like by the public. I know I won't be hated here,
You might.
but to be a listing agent, it should not be your first real estate transaction.
Oh, absolutely not.
I am not that
No.
person. I do not believe in that person. I think you
Mm-mm.
should have several buying contracts under
Mhm.
your belt
And
as
and
working with
I
buyers.
believe your first listing, either your broker or your team lead needs to go with you. Somebody that's got experience with it.
You have to have the experience.
Because you can go in there and just totally annihilate yourself.
Well, and I want people to understand that there's a difference between an agent who lists homes all the time and someone who does farm and ranch, or someone who does land, or someone who
Yes.
does mobile homes even. Because like I had an experience just recently where I've done mobile homes before. I've done quite a few, but the agent I was talking to for a potential buyer I had no idea in terms of foundation or how to handle that or who to call or what to do or if there was an engineering report. So sometimes you have to ask your agent, have you done this before?
Yes. You want to
Mhm.
know if they're experienced in what you're offering.
Yes.
For sure, through and through.
Mhm.
Investment properties. So for quite a few years, we've worked with investors. You
Mhm.
have to, there's FHA rules to
Mhm.
that. So
Absolutely.
there's a
And
lot
rollback
of
tax.
yes, rollback taxes. You have capital gains. There's all kinds of things that go into it. So you always want to make sure
Yeah.
when picking your agent that you are absolutely correct. Make sure they're experienced in it, because there are so many scenarios that still, well, we can get it ready and we can get it on the market and we can do all of that. But there are scenarios that are going to come through on that contract that you still have to navigate. And unless you've sold a few properties with it, and I'd say more than a few, you need to have some experience on the buy side to
So
understand what that seller is going to
so
go
this
through.
brings us to what we absolutely tell anybody that calls us. Are you interviewing?
Yes.
Interview your agent.
Yep.
Because if they're not a right fit, you're on an uphill slope. It
Yeah.
will never be smooth sailing for you.
No.
I may not be the right agent. You may not be. You may not be. Somebody will be. But I suggest you at least interview 3 people.
Absolutely.
Well, and then there's also the locality of the agent. If you have someone that you're looking at hiring and they're out of Dallas Fort Worth, are they going to be readily available to come and see, your home? And
Correct. Are they going to be
are
able
they
to?
going to be there if, someone shows up and says, "Hey, I want to look at this house," and they're calling your agent? Is the agent going to be there to open the door?
Are they
Mm.
familiar with with
Do
that
they know the
market?
market?
Yeah, that's a
I
big one
don't so
too.
much look at that because, like I said, I'm not bringing the buyer. I can list your home. I can list your home in San Antonio.
Right.
But am I doing you any justice?
Mhm.
Because I don't know that market.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know how that market
I don't know if
works.
sellers are paying concessions in that
Right.
area.
I know
don't
nothing
know.
about your market.
I can pull your
So,
rough number. I
yes.
can even drive down one time to come see your property, but I don't know what your market. And this goes even as far as Sweetwater,
Mm-hmm.
45 miles away. Like you said, you're going
Mhm.
there to go look at a listing. We've got a pretty general idea.
But we've been there enough that we've
Yes,
got
we've
the
been there
market.
enough. We know the market, but you know what I mean. We're not in
I'm not in there all the
there.
time every
Right.
day.
Right.
But you've got that going on. You got these limited liability that are soliciting them, and
Call the seller.
call the seller.
to
Now,
schedule an appointment.
why would you let somebody just pay to put it in the MLS and you're doing all the work?
Oh man, we had one with a buyer that was a limited liability. We had the contract on it. It got to closing, the AC did not work for final walkthrough.
Yeah.
So we call the seller
Have
because
to
he's
call
limited
seller.
liability. And he goes, "What do I do about that?" We're like, "You're gonna have to replace the
I
AC,
guess you replace the AC.
or you're gonna have to get it fixed because it was in working condition when we
Yeah.
put this house under contract." He said, "What?" He tried to call the limited liability because I guess they offer a service to upgrade your services, and then you can have full representation. And they said, "Oh, you're too late for that." So then he was stuck on his own.
Yeah.
AC company comes out, they're like, "It needs to be fully replaced." He had to replace the
He
entire
had to
unit.
replace the entire unit. But yeah, no, and I get it. Oh, I'm gonna save all this money. Are you?
No.
Are you?
Well, in that case.
In that case, no.
No.
But it worked great for our buyer.
Yeah.
And that was in COVID years, and our buyer
It was COVID years.
He got closing cost, which is unheard of
Mm-hmm.
in COVID years. But the guy had no idea. So the gentleman was stationed in Alaska at that point and thought using a limited liability service would be easier because his house would sell right away. Well, it did sell right away. But realistically, if he would have been represented, he would have gotten a lot more for the property.
Yeah, he'd have had a better deal going.
But I mean, thankful for our buyer that he didn't.
So what you think you're saving in money, you're losing in sales price, you're losing in negotiated concessions, you're losing in a lot of things. Yeah. So anyway, that's just my take on all of it.
So to recap, we curb appeal, clean your house, declutter your house. Don't over declutter.
I know.
Interview 3 agents, at least 3 agents.
And you don't have to. I mean, one may walk in and it's like, oh, instant. Okay, we got this. Let's make this our team and go.
Right.
Because I do believe you are a team with the seller.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be a team. It's teamwork.
Right.
But yeah, declutter, curb appeal, smell.
Oh.
Do not put Scentsies all over your house. Do not put Febreze plugins all over your house. People are allergic to that stuff.
I walked into one house the other day and
it'll
had
choke
the
you.
diffuser going
Yes.
on. I immediately started sneezing.
Well,
it
can
choke
you.
I have to unplug this.
Yeah, but it can choke a buyer. I mean, just that. And
some people have allergies, especially like right now we're fixing to hit fall and stuff, so cinnamon is everywhere. Some people are allergic to cinnamon.
Who knows?
But,
but do not mask the odors.
And can I throw one more thing out there while we're on that? So, me terrified of dogs. Take your pets with you.
Oh, yes.
On showings. So
do not leave them there in a kennel.
To bark
constant bark,
on
constant bark, constant bark.
It is immediate anxiety for the buyer and for agents
for
like myself.
It is.
Just like, I need us.
Well, and when you've got a buyer with little kids,
they're going to pick their
fingers. That's a safety thing. Those kids are going to go poke through that cage.
High alert. So
take them.
Put them in a kennel in the garage, in a sunroom, put a fan on them, whatever you need to do. Take them in the car with you. Put them in the backyard, for that matter. Leave your windows open. Put them in the backyard and leave a note on the door.
We'll see it if we want to see it again.
We'll come back for another appointment, but don't leave them in the house to bark at people.
And make sure that your agent tells people where the dogs are.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had one scenario where the dogs were supposed to be removed, but the dogs weren't, and they told their agent, but their agent never got to me and let me know that they were in the garage, and I went to open the door, and the dogs were at me.
Yeah.
So just be mindful. Make sure.
Oh, we don't ever just open a garage.
I ran a full sprint though. In
I
the
do
backyard.
this.
I didn't even know the dog was there.
I barely crack and peek, and then I whistle
everywhere.
But I didn't know the dog was there.
Yeah.
We walked in. The house was quiet. Everybody was quiet. Like, nothing.
Ready to go.
I didn't think the dog was there.
Our David and Goliath moment was Rachel. We went to a vacant house. She walked in the backyard, and I went walking very slow. She had
Oh,
Biggest
that
Great
one.
Dane I have ever seen coming right up behind her. She was looking at me, and it was like David and Goliath.
Like, oh
I
my
said, I
gosh.
need you to walk very slow and not panic.
No. I had one on Amarillo. The house was vacant.
So
Vacant
was that
house.
one.
Yeah.
So was that
The
one.
house was vacant. They had no animals. I'm in the backyard. I am filming this house for a client. Like I'm talking away, and I hear the dog barking. I said, "Sounds like you have a neighbor of a dog." And then I see the dog's head. It's another Great Dane, as he's got a little hole in the fence. And then I go, "Hey, buddy," and that did not go over.
No.
He
No.
busted the fence, like busted, came through the fence, hauling butt at me. I was like, "Dear God." So yes, take your pets because I can't do it. Like now I'm chunky and slow, and
Have bad knees.
this is not going to work out well for me one day. So take your pets with you. If you have any cats, make sure before the litter boxes are
Clean
clean.
the litter
It's
box.
like one of the most complaints you'll ever get. Is
I smell cat.
So
Clean the litter box. Invest in a litter robot. I mean, yeah.
so.
But anyway, that's
Okay.
it for me today. I just thought, let's sit and talk about
The sell side.
sell side of it.
So we'll go again next week. I'm sure we'll come up with another.
No, I
story.
just thought of another one. Appointments. Answer your appointments. When an agent makes an appointment on your house,
Oh dear God.
answer the phone. Answer your text.
Yeah, don't make me look like a crazy person.
And don't limit your showings. When you're on the market, you want to sell your house, but you don't want anyone to come except between 4 and 5 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday.
The one that drives
Doesn't
me
work.
crazy is 24-hour notice.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah, I don't
24
have
hours.
24 hours.
I that drives me bananas because if I am at 3:00 on a Monday trying to set up showings for 10:00 on a Tuesday, most of the times those 10:00s on Tuesdays will get approved, but I can't get it because it's with a 24-hour.
Correct.
So
Right.
change it from a 24-hour to like a same day, no same day appointments or something like that.
Yeah.
I tell the sellers, this is another thing I tell the sellers, I'm giving you an hour lead time.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting. Because if there is an agent in your neighborhood showing another home or 2 or 3, and they say, buyer says, I want to add that one to the list.
And then what if that agent was at the broker open and they said
Right.
they have a buyer? They're
Oh,
out with
wait,
and
I
go,
know
"Oh,
where
wait."
there's one. Let's go see these. We'll try to get into that one.
Right.
Answer your phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we always tell people, and I think we end off on this note. This is always my most important line, and I think we've all used this line. When you list your home, you no longer live in your home.
No.
You are just staying there.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
And so
It's no longer a home. It's just a house.
that is the number one thing to take away when listing your property. You no longer live there. You just stay there.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
on that note, thanks, ladies.
Ciao.
We'll see y'all next week.
Mm,
Yeah, you'll be here.
Maybe.
That's a guarantee.